darkness, down in the darkness, how it devours. The ravens come for me.
Something a little bit differently today. That, of course, was Norwegian Soft Kitten. I love that name. With Full Moon Raging. And it is here on our big broadcast. And if you missed us playing that tune, you can go back to our website, jiggyjaguar.com, kjagradio.com, and, of course, the mic.fun. I originally, it used to be the mic.info, and I gave that to a record label the other day. I said, we post all of our stuff at the mic.info. And he went over and he was like, it doesn't exist. And I was like, damn it. The mic.fun. I wasn't having a lot of fun there. But we are going to go to our guest. He's going to join us on the Skip Skype, the old Skype-a-rooney. Yes, the Skype-a-rooney, kids. And I believe we may have our guest with us. Maybe. It says that he's there. It says he's on Skype. I cannot hear you, my friend. But I can see you, which is a lot better than...
There we go.
There we are. Okay, give me just a few seconds. I've got to bring in our other two... fantastic friends with us today. I've got to bring in the man about town, Mr. Dan Perkins, and the incredible IQ Al Rizzoli. Yes, that IQ Al Rizzoli. And it is going to be an interesting day here on our program. And like I said, you just heard Full Moon Raging. And we are going to go. What in the world is going on? The sun went over the clouds and everything got dark. Oh my God! Dan Perkins is with us. The fantastic Dan Perkins. Look at that.
Thank you.
The incredibly young looking Dan Perkins today. What have you done over the last week, Dan? That
my cardiac rehab is making me look younger, I guess.
I guess. And we have IQR Rizzoli, who nobody ever knows if he looks old or young because nobody knows what the hell he looks like. But,
hey, Jim.
Yes.
I got an idea.
What's up?
Instead of IQ putting up his book cover or his image.
Yes.
Why don't we have him put up his green card?
Well, that'll be an interesting discussion here in a little bit. We have got a great guest with us today. We just heard, before we got on the air here, we heard Full Moon Raging, which is a great little track from our guest today. He joins us here in our broadcast, and he is from the band Norwegian Soft Kitten. And I wanted to get him on today to talk about his music and also talk to us about just everything in the world around us. So, Glenn, thanks for joining us, my friend. Tell us a little bit about your band, and then we will chop it up here, as they say.
Yeah, Norwegian Soft Kitten is made up of me. I play the guitars, do a lot of the sin. My bandmate's Alan Green, and he handles the drums and the bass and all the mixing. And we call ourselves a gush band. We play all kinds of music, primarily coming from a rock background, but Alan has more of a metal background. And we've done a country punk song, we've done a western song, we've done shoegaze, whatever a song seems to need. That's the kind of music we play for it.
That's awesome. We have got a great guest with us today. Glenn Burgitz is with us. He is part of Norwegian Soft Kitten. So how in the world did you get this name of this band? Because I immediately, when I see this, I think, well, they must be from And then, of course, I have to have the Jiggy Jag, the ugly American, kick in because I go, well, they must be from Norwegia if they are the Norwegian soft kitten.
Well, Alan and I go back many years. We actually met making films together. We've done a few films, like most notably To Die Is Hard. And we eventually found out we both played music. And so when we decided to start recording some material, and the first songs we did were theme songs for some of the films we worked on together. And Alan threw a whole bunch of ideas out there for band names. I had a couple. And so we were emailing back and forth with different band names. And I'm reading through his list of about 80 names. And as soon as I saw Norwegian Soft Kitten, I said, that is it. Okay, that is our name. I just loved it from the first time I saw it. So we became Norwegian Soft Kitten.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, Glenn has quite the background. He not only has this music thing he's doing, he's also a writer, director, an actor. He is also the guy behind, which is amazing to me because I did not know anything about this until I started doing my research. You are part of a movie called The Worst Movie Ever. Tell me and Dan and IQ a little bit about this.
Well, I'd watched so many films over the years where I thought, my gosh, that character or that line of dialogue or that plot twist was so terrible. If anyone ever made a film called The Worst Movie Ever, that character would have to be in it or that line. And after years and years of doing that, I finally thought, I'm just going to make the worst movie ever. I'm going to put every piece of horrible dialogue, miscast characters, dumb plot twists, and I got a bunch of people on board out in Denver where I was making films at the time, and we put the film together, and you may have come across it did the worst opening weekend in cinema history.
Well, it being the worst movie ever,
box office.
You would get that. It being the worst movie ever, it would have the worst opening weekend ever. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. And the thing was, we were only given a couple days notice that it was going to screen out in LA, didn't have time to promote it. I thought, people are just going to show up anyway. The worst movie ever, everyone's going to want to see it. One person showed up, paid $11, and when that news got out, I was very embarrassed until it got us a whole bunch of attention. And then the film did quite well from there.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So Dan Perkins, what kind of questions here do you have for Glenn?
How much did it cost you to make the worst movie ever?
Oh, that cost us upwards of $1,200. Yes, we went all out on that one.
$1,200. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Did you shoot it on video camera, or how did you, or was it cut and paste, or what?
Well, by the time we were doing that, that's right when we were starting to be able to do stuff digitally. And so we just have the little digital cards we shot on. And Eric Lassie shot it and did a great job. Then Alan edited it, did a wonderful job with the edit. And, we didn't spend a lot of time on it, which saved money. We shot the whole thing in one weekend. It came out feature length, thankfully. And, but yeah, throw a few dollars at everyone. Everyone was great, to say, I'll take, $50 or so to work on this, $100. And we got it done. People lent us their houses to shoot at, and we did it quickly. We did it efficiently, and it turned out great.
So what was its total box office out of its run?
Well, after that opening weekend of $11, we went on to get over $10,000 in box office, getting some midnight screenings here and there, occasional prime time screenings, some one-offs. So, yeah, it didn't turn a huge profit, but when you only put, $1,200 into a film, you're not going to lose that much.
Yeah. Can you still get it?
Yeah, it's out there. We have Danny Torres at MCTV Continuum has distribution for it, and people can get DVDs of it, come across it on some of the streaming services, Amazon. So, yeah, people can watch the film.
So they can say, awesome. I watched the worst movie ever. I think I've watched more than one. Although the beauty of your film is that I could watch probably all the ones that I are in your worst movie I've probably seen. Although lately I haven't. There've been some movies so bad that I just stopped after 5-6 minutes and said I can't take this anymore and left. It was just atrocious, just atrocious. And they didn't cost $1,200 to make; they cost millions to make.
Well, I'm with you. I used to, once I started watching a film, I had to watch the whole thing. Now, if 15 minutes in or so, I'll stop.
Yeah.
So, what do you think's happening in the music industry, given what happened with the Oscars? Have the not only the award shows but the agency, if you would, Emmys and Oscars and Grammys, and are they outdated now?
It's such a different world from the music world I'm familiar with. I don't have a problem with them per se. It's kind of nice to acknowledge things, whether it's music or film. Certainly if someone wanted to throw a Grammy at, Norwegian Soft Kitten, we'd say, okay, thanks, cool. We'd be happy with that.
That's awesome.
If people want to do it, if they have fun doing it, yeah, someone gets slapped around every now and then. But, if people are enjoying it, people still want to tune in and watch, people derive pleasure from giving out awards, winning awards, I don't have a problem with it.
Are you doing your music? Are you also doing videos of your music? Is it a combination?
Yeah, Alan and I have talked about it. We live 2,000 miles apart, so we get together once a year and we just record a whole bunch of material and craft an album out of that. And we've talked about actually making some videos. We haven't gotten around to it because we see each other so rarely. But I would like to. We actually had someone, Patrick Bowler, recently offered to do a video for us. And Alan and I thought about it, but we thought, well, if we're going to do a video, we want to make sure, we're doing it, since we do have a lot in the film background. So, maybe eventually. We are on, people can pull us up on YouTube. There's no video, but they can listen to the song.
But the reason I'm asking is that the music industry, where we used to sell CDs and records and all that stuff, now it's all music videos. The song has to be released in video.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of trying to sell a song on a CD or a digital track doesn't attract a lot of attention, does it?
No, we've been thrilled with the attention Full Moon Raging's been getting. We've been, getting played on dozens of stations around the world. That's not going to correlate into, MTV coverage or anything like that. It's not going to correlate to a lot of money, but we're enjoying what we're doing. And yeah, if we get around to making videos, that would be fun. That would be awesome. But Alan and I just so thoroughly enjoy the craft of making songs that, we make albums we want to listen to. And I know this is going to make me sound like a jerk, but 90% of what I listen to is our own music. I just play our same 2 albums over and over again, and I just really enjoy them. And yeah, even if no one else likes them, for Alan and I, it's fulfilling and it's reward in itself. And with all the stations that are playing us right now, that's just bonus. So yeah, maybe if we get a video out there, something bigger would happen. But at least for now, that's not going to happen.
Are you selling many records?
We don't have any hard copies. The streaming services, we're seeing our numbers here with Full Moon Raging steadily climbing. We're not, if you're aware, the people out there might not be aware, with the streaming services, I don't know the exact numbers, and they vary from platform to platform. But, some of them, you got to get, 1,000 streams will net the band $1, $1 or so. So we're getting streams. It doesn't correlate to a lot of money, but that's fine with us. We're just enjoying playing our music and having it heard.
So if you're you didn't say this, but I'll say it. It appears that you're not in the business to make a lot of money. You enjoy recordings and writing songs.
That is correct.
So what do you do to survive? How do you pay your bills?
I'm actually a professor.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I teach American literature, British literature, writing classes. I teach film classes. So I teach at a couple different universities to pay the bills. That allows me to make music, make films, write books, things like that.
Yes, you
And
write books. Tell us about some of the stuff that you write.
My last two books have done all right, especially the book Waiting for Evening to Come. It's an historical fiction, takes place in the rural U.S. in the 1950s, and it's about the friendship that develops between an elderly African-American man and a young white boy. And there are quite a few teachers and professors around the country who are using it in their classroom, so I'm really happy with that. And then my most recent novel is Fading to Black, and it's about a man who's in the early stages of dementia, and he's seeking redemption for something, an act that had occurred, half a century earlier, that he knows he's running out of time with, to finally try to get some redemption for something he had done as a young person.
Are you a self-publisher?
No, I have Solstice Publishing is the publishing company who's brought my books out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how are the book sales going?
Sales for Fading to Black have been small. With Waiting for Evening to Come, they've been quite good. I've had schools buy, 150 copies or so to pass out, have their students in their English classes use in class. I've had plenty of other teachers and professors just get a handful of books that, they use with their students here or there. At this point, I couldn't tell you the exact numbers. Certainly not huge. I'm not on any bestseller lists, that's for sure.
Okay. Have you ever considered putting one or both of them on an audiobook?
I had a teacher from one of the schools that bought a whole lot of books ask if there was an audiobook version, and there isn't. I haven't really thought of it other than her inquiry. Maybe it is something I need to look into.
Well, when you think about your production experience in making films, if you take that production experience and I can tell you I've written 9 novels, and all but the last 2 have been on audiobooks. The reaction to the story in an audiobook format is dramatically different than people reading it for themselves. Right now, about 30% of all books that are being sold in the United States are audio. And so I would think with your production experience, you probably have talented people that could read for you. Both sound like very interesting stories. They have, I hired a gentleman who won 9 Grammy Awards for sound production, and he was the producer of the book and the audiobooks. They're literally a difference between night and day, because when you think about when somebody reads your book, the process by which they read is they're basically telling the story to themselves. But you take an audiobook and have somebody else tell the listener, not the reader, the listener, the story. You have a lot more things that you can do to bring greater life and drama to the book. And we did on the very first book, we did a promotional piece for the book, and we based it on Orson Welles' War of the Worlds movie, and it's that kind of feel, and it's done very well. So you might want to think about that talent that you have. If you're a good writer, and you got a publisher who was willing to publish the books, you might want to sit down with the publisher and say, hey, what if I took the first one and I was able to produce a video book or an audio book? Would you be interested in selling that? You might be surprised.
Yeah, I'll have to check with them, because with Waiting for Evening to Come, I did get an agent for a while who was pitching it in Hollywood. I put together a screenplay version of it. Mm-hmm. I got plenty of potential cast members to show interest, say they want to be in it if the film was made. Couldn't interest any producers, but an audiobook would be so much more affordable. And I'm guessing the first step is I need to talk with the publishing company.
Yeah, because if you've got all the recording equipment for movies, you've got everything you need to produce an audiobook, and it's just a matter of finding the right voice person to read the book, and that makes all the difference in the world. And sometimes, like in your case of the young man and the older black man, probably would need two, but people who have agreed to participate in your movies for a nominal amount. I think you ought to think about that. And just to give you an idea, if you want to produce an audio book, you can go to Amazon. Amazon has a publishing operation, and they will publish your book, work with you in putting it together, and work with you in creating an audiobook for practically no cost in order to get distribution rights. So you need to look into that, both of them sound. They would obviously appeal to two different audiences, but I think the first one of the elderly black man and the young white boy. I mean, I think there's a lot of
Oh yeah.
drama just in saying the story. So think about doing an audiobook.
Appreciate that feedback. Thank you.
Sure, my pleasure.
We've got a great guest with us today. He joins us live here in our broadcast. And IQ Al Rizzoli, do you have any questions for Glenn when we have him here?
Yes. Two questions. How long is your miserable film? The one that you don't like?
No, IQ, it's the worst.
I love IQ.
The worst film.
Okay.
The worst movie ever is, I think, 1 hour and 17 minutes it ended up. So feature length, a shorter feature film.
I'll tell you what, I'm very impressed with the humility that you have. You're not big-headed, you are very focused, and you are very realistic about your powers. And honestly, listen to what Dan just told you. You really have a very good potential with the black old man and the white boy.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
No, I'm telling you the truth. That's the way I look at it. And you're not pompous. You're very down to earth. I love that. It's really, very unusual. By every time somebody comes on Jiggy, they are all top level people. They're in superstars. No, they're not superstars. They think they are superstars.
Yeah.
The only superstar we have is Dan.
And I'm still here. What's wrong with me?
Now, Dan,
for me, when I
go ahead, Glenn. Go ahead.
I was going to say, just today in class, one of my English classes, someone brought up a rapper. I had no idea who they were talking about. And the students got all excited. They're talking, and they started debating who is better, Drake or this person. And that's one of those things that just constantly reminds me there's no reason to get a big head, because whoever this guy is apparently selling millions of copies or whatever and streams and concerts. Yet 98%, 99% of the people on the planet have no idea who he is. So
yeah,
I'm at the point where 99.99999% of people have no idea who I am. So,
but you got to understand something, and I think this is important, is that when you write a book, and when you write a book and it becomes published, you move from a writer to an author. An author is a person who sells his writing. But when you publish the book, and I'll give you a quick example. Tom Clancy wrote a book called The Hunt for Red October. A story about the capturing of a Russian submarine. John Connery was in it. The book was written in 1984. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You can still buy it in the bookstore today. So what I'm saying to you is this rapper may be good today, but in 30, 40 years, nobody will remember who he was. But
Yeah.
people might be able to go into a bookstore and buy your book
Yeah.
and listen to what was in your mind. Writing books is a very, very powerful process to leave a legacy. And if you're a good writer, I remember one time I was doing a presentation at the Actors Studio in Hollywood to a bunch of film students. And afterwards, a young man came up to me and said, "Mr. Perkins, I'm a writer." Okay. He says, "I've been working on a screenplay." I said, "How long?" He said, 10 years. "How far are you?" "Oh, about 60 pages. I said, "Maybe you ought to think about a different job."
That's awesome.
So you have to be able to novelists, and I am one. Novelists have if they're really good at what they do, they have an incredible gift to be a storyteller. And I believe no matter how long this country goes, where the world goes, people will always want to be told stories. And so you have two books that have been, as the Bible talks about, the virgins who kept their lights under the basket. You need to let your light out of the basket by looking among yourself at what talents you have that could possibly enhance. And the audiobooks can be much more affordable than paperbacks and hardcover.
Mm-hmm.
And you only have to make one copy because they can print it like crazy, duplicate it.
Yeah. Wow.
Another thing is, if you're really interested in pursuing, you may not be, but if you're interested in pursuing writing, especially in the area of novels, there's lots of groups all over the country that are looking for people to talk to their struggling people. Colleges and universities will invite authors to come in. There's lots of places where you can speak for money and sell your books. I mean, I have a book that's just come out, that my first romance novel called Sad Eyes. The story takes place during the Second World War. The story about a young woman in Waterloo, Iowa, who decides she wants to become a nurse. I have another book coming out next month, or this month, probably next month, which is an enormous novel. The Sad Eyes book is about 400 pages. I think that the Lincoln book is going to be probably 600, be 2 volumes. And the story is Abraham Lincoln and the Second Assassin. So it's interesting when, I don't know if you experienced this as you've been a book writer, when you get introduced and somebody says, well, he writes novels. Do you ever get people say, I can't do that. I don't understand how you can do that. Have you ever heard that?
I say that sometimes because my books are only around 200 pages long, and I am envious of writers like you who can build such a tapestry of characters and locations and all, because with my novels I tend to focus on 1 or 2 people, and I don't bring in those other characters who oftentimes make a novel a little bit deeper. Now with mine, we really get to know those 1 or 2 characters really well.
Right.
But I am envious of people like you who can write 400, 500, 600 pages and keep the plot, keep the narrative, keep the character development going.
And wanting people to turn the pages. That's what we do as novelists. We got to get people to turn the page. So think about an audiobook and look at Amazon. Talk to your publisher. See if your publisher has a catalog of audiobooks that they offer.
Okay.
And then go see them and say, hey, what if we could produce an audiobook? There's I have, as Jim and IQ know, I have a foundation called Songs and Stories for Soldiers that we started almost 11 years ago to provide entertainment for veterans suffering from PTSD, traumatic brain injury, sleep deprivation, and suicide. And we have 100,000 audiobooks that are available that can be downloaded on our site for free. And it's a compilation of a bunch of different libraries that I work with who have vast audio libraries that they make available to the public. And they usually charge, but for our foundation, they did it for free. There's lots of places that you can offer your audiobook. And but it is really where things are going in the future. It's really difficult to have people want to sit down and read a book. They just don't have the time. But with an audiobook, you can plug it in your car, on your sound system, on your smartphone, do great things. So that may be a new dimension to you. And with an audiobook, you may find yourself in a situation where you might want to move to a little bit longer. But about 120,000 words is a reasonable novel. But it's an amazing process. It is. My wife really gets really pissed off with me because we'll be sitting watching a television series, a mystery or a thriller television series, and I say, "He did it," and an hour later, find out the guy that I said did it, and she just smarty. So you just learn to understand how certain writers write, but it's and historical fiction is real. I think that it's amazing. I think the time that we're living in today is an area where there's going to be a lot of historical fiction written because there's lots of stuff that we can write about today. And good luck to you, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Well, you have been fantastic today, Glenn. Thanks for doing this, brother. This has been a blast. I've enjoyed learning about your music, enjoyed learning about your film background and your writing background. This has been fun.
Oh, well, you're welcome, and thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, before we let you go, how do we get in touch with all of your various pursuits, my friend?
Some of our films are on Tubi TV, like To Die Is Hard. People can watch it for no charge on Tubi TV. With music, Norwegian Soft Kitten, we're on Spotify, Deezer, Apple Music, iTunes, all the major streaming services. Also go to YouTube and listen to it for no charge. With the books are available on both the Solstice Publishing website and on Amazon, so they can find them there.
Well, I appreciate it, my friend. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for chatting with me and Dan and IQ, and have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend. There he goes. That is Glenn, and he is very interesting, and I'm glad we were able to chat with him today.